are between the current situation and the Great Depression. First of all, I want to make the point that we're not in the Great Depression. And if you look at the unemployment rates currently, the most recent read at the end of the year, 7.2, that is relatively small in relationship to the Great Depression, and it's also relatively, it's not out of line with the recession, the unemployment rates that we had during the recessions in 74, 75, when the unemployment rate went to 9.6%. And it's not out of line with unemployment during the 1982 recession, when the unemployment rate actually rose as high as 10.8%. Now, I think the unemployment rate is going to rise from where we are, and it may approach those kinds of levels of the earlier recessions. But the point I wanted to make is that it's not really not that far out of line with our most recent major recessions. Now, if you go back to the Great Depression, that 7% unemployment rate in the Great Depression would have looked like great times. That the unemployment rate throughout the Great Depression, that it increased, was to as high as 25%. And of course, most of you have probably taught in your history classes that the New Deal ended the Great Depression. Well, to see what the facts are. Was it over by, Franklin Roosevelt was elected president in 1932, assumed the presidency in 33. Were things pretty good by 35, 36, 37, 38? Unemployment rate in 38 was 17%. Or excuse me, 19% in 38. No, 19% in 38, and then in 39 it was 17%. I don't think it's shown on the graph, but in 40 it was 14%. Twice what our current levels are. So essentially the idea that the New Deal changed the economy and ended the Great Depression is a myth. And the data are readily available. I mean, this is not something hidden under a bush that nobody can find out what happened. The data are available to show that that's exactly what happened. So, while current situation is bad, it's not anything like it was during the Great Depression. Now, the other point I'd like to make vis-a-vis the Great Depression, which is a real parallel, is the current crisis, as I've indicated, was caused by bad economic policy, as was the Great Depression caused by disastrous economic policy. And I don't have time to go into the great detail, but let me just mention two or three really key things that caused the Great Depression and resulted in prolonging it and making it as severe as it was. Of course, there's the monetary contraction that Milton Friedman has stressed for years and years and years. You have the money supply decreased by a third between 1929 and 1933. That resulted in catastrophic deflation and resulted in the same kind of foreclosures and stuff that we are experiencing in the current situation. In addition, a really key event of the Great Depression was the Smoot-Hawley tariff bill.